What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Guys of Texas. Texas defeats Arkansas 20-10. We do have our good friend Jacob Garrison from the 9 to 5 sportscast on one more time to go over the game. I'm going to run over the stats real quick, and then we can talk about the game. Quinn went 20 of 32 for 176 yards, 2 TDs. Green went 17 of 25, 149 yards, 1 interception. Leading rusher for Texas was Blue, 14 carries, 83 yards. Jackson for Arkansas, 11 carries, 56 yards, 1 TD. Leading in receiving for Texas was Isaiah Bond with 4 receptions, 48 yards. And leading for Arkansas, Andrew Armstrong, shocker, 6 receptions, 74 yards. Golden did for Texas have the 2 touchdowns. There was a fumble in the game for Arkansas, which I believe that is their 23rd fumble of the season, ninth lost fumble, which is I told the boys that stat. I heard it yesterday, and that's a wild, mind blowing stat. um, well, Jacob, it is your floor. What did you think of the game? What are your thoughts?
Um, I mean, for as bad of a first half as we played, I don't know. It was a very close game into the third quarter, and that fumble that you mentioned right there, pretty much right there into the fourth quarter. Like we had a very good third quarter. I wish that defense could have been a little bit stronger, but the truth is, I mean, we kind of killed our own momentum in the second half of the game with that fumble. Things were starting to turn our way a little bit. We had, just gotten within what I think six at the time, or was it 10? Had to go anyway. It's either 6 or 10. But we were driving and very close to scoring again, and fumbled the ball away. On Texas half the field, and that's tough. That's tough to have that happen. Had some, a ridiculous interception thrown in the first half where Tyron Brogdon just doesn't catch the ball for some reason, bats it up in there, and Texas guy comes away with it. Like just inexplicable stuff like that. Little things, and it's kind of just the story of Arkansas season. Just we can't do the little things right. There's no level of like completionism on our side. So to me, that just goes back to coaching somewhere. That these guys don't have enough grit to make those plays. And it just showed. It showed too much in the game against Texas. That first touchdown that you guys scored was just so indicative of like how up and down our defense can be, because that was a walk-in, like that blown coverage, your guys wide open, no one around him, right? Doesn't get
Yeah.
much easier than that. But then the rest of the game, up until basically that fourth quarter or so, you guys, you couldn't buy yards hardly. I mean, we were making everything difficult. So I don't know, it's a tale of two teams right there for me. And then just offensively, just no rhythm, just no rhythm. And it's just tough when you're, starting and going the whole time. Can't get a run game sorted out, for more than a drive at a time, or even just maybe a couple plays within a drive at a time. It's just tough. Tough to see. Frustrating for sure.
Yeah, Jono, follow up with that on the Texas side. I can tell you, Jacob, as depressed as you are of the game, I'm pretty sure these two are just as depressed, especially Jono. So, Jono, I'll let you continue on the depression for the Texas win.
I mean, I came back to reality a little bit. I kind of sit
Okay.
down and looked at the positives of this game. You got to take the glass half full. But, man, offensively, man, the inconsistencies. This is Quinn's 30th game that he started, and I'm getting frustrated because the progressions is not there, man. He looks uncomfortable in the pocket anytime he gets any sort of pressure. He didn't have any turnovers. That was the bright side. Offense didn't have any turnovers, barely had any penalty yards. So you look at that, and that's the positives to take away for sure. But the main positive thing with this game, man, is defense. The defense played well. Jahdae Barron basically had a highlight reel for the Thorpe award ceremony in that one, man. Jody Barron is incredible. He was all over the field, I feel like, in this game. We did what we needed to do to win the game, but offensively, man, there's still just a lot of question marks on this offense where we can't extend the field whatsoever. Everything is coming underneath. Everything is within 10 yards on our offense. And with the explosive players that we have, I just feel like it's kind of inexcusable. And with Sark being the mind that he is, I just don't understand how we can't get some kind of consistency going on offense. But like I said, it came back down to reality today and kind of looked at the glass half full, especially with how the season's gone and we saw teams struggle again yesterday, which we'll go over later on in the podcast. But did what we need to do to win the game at the end of the day. You got to take it as a win and go from there.
Yeah.
Seth?
Well, I was hoping he was going to leave all the positives to me, but
No. Yeah, that is weird because yesterday was exact opposites.
I was just going to be positive about our defense. I mean, yeah, we were definitely having some words about Quinn's performance yesterday while we were all hanging out. Just his lack of improvement in the pocket is just getting really frustrating. Watching him trip over his own shoelaces, see ghosts while he's in the pocket, and just has no answer for it. Like, I really expected him to have a lot more poise this year, being in the offense for this long and just being able to execute, which is exactly what we saw in Michigan. I keep going back to that. Like, the guy that I saw in Michigan, I was like, holy crap, it finally clicked. And we just haven't seen that again. It's getting really frustrating. He's got all the arm ability in the world, but just cannot maneuver around the pocket. So it was frustrating, but we got the job done, like John said. If that's how we have to win games, if we can keep doing it, I mean, I'm happy to take the win. It's just not how I want to see it happen. But,
so two things for me. Number one, it is a road SEC win. So you got to, I mean, we are in the SEC now. You have to kind of that rivalry game. This is a rivalry game for Arkansas. They do hate us, and all the players hate us. And they want to bring that win home for the entire state of Arkansas. And you could see that in their play a little bit. Number two, following up with that, I think everyone's figured out if you want to rattle Quinn, you just run cover three. That's been a big thing, is take away the deep and make them beat you in that short pass game. And that coincides with the fact that if you look at the end of the game, when we decided to start running the ball, that translated into a pretty breezy touchdown. Like, I feel like we get away from just ground and pound, tough, beat you in the mouth football, and we always get so cutesy in the start of the game because they want to. It's like Sark just has that mentality of, I want to sling the ball, get a 3 touchdown lead, and then coast the rest of the game. But when that doesn't happen, we get into situations like this. And I feel like we need to spend a little bit more time. I mean, we only had 4 possessions in the second half. Like, that's what kills us, is we start throwing the ball so much that when we try in the first half to really get that lead, that we end up putting them back in the game when we could just start running. Take the how many we win by, as long as you're controlling the possession of the football, really is the only thing that matters. And because at the end of the day, winning matters, especially where we're at in this season. All we got to do is win out and we're in the playoffs. Yeah. And you continue to just win. As long as you win the games from here on out, that is a championship. The defense is the best defense. Again, we'll go back to, this is an elite defense. But we got to get back to running the football more than what we have been. And we don't do it until late, until we're trying to run clock. And that's what bothers me.
Yeah, I don't feel like, I mean, we've talked about it all season, but nobody's really elevated to be that guy who can really just shove it down their throat. Like, I mean, you watch all of our running backs right now, they get to the line and they get tangled up really easy. Nobody's really fighting through tackles, and it's not going to be this typical Sark offense if you don't have that back.
But is that offensive line too?
Which is supposed to be the best of what they could be for the last 4 years. Like, they're finding their senior season, and it's not happening. So, as
much as we talk about our offensive line, you should be able to put Zeke Elliott in that, and his old broken body, and he'll run through holes. That's what an offensive line, the way we talk about them, that's what you should be able to do, in my opinion.
Right. You're right.
But especially playing cover 3 all the time. Like, we should be able to do that, but we can't for some reason, and it bothers me. That's where I'm frustrated. I agree with the Quinn, and I sat back and Jake, we had a big discussion at lunch during the game of Quinn, and I've been the main defender of Quinn. These guys have too, but it's one of those. Arch just isn't ready in my if we have to, we have to. But I feel like our options are go with the veteran right now of who knows what it means to control the football, which is what he's doing. He's not giving up. And that's what sucks. Like, he throws that touchdown pass to Golden, he threads the needle, and it's perfect. Like, you couldn't put that football any better. But then he's throwing these 40-yard bombs that are 15 yards away from the receiver, and it just doesn't make any sense.
I think just outside looking in, I think it would be I just think it'd be like detrimental for you guys to move away from Quinn Ewers at this point.
Oh yeah.
Just because of, I mean, he has all of the time with the first team. He has the experience. He has the ability, though he does seem rattled at times. I can guarantee you, if you put Arch Manning in those high pressure situations that Quinn's being rattled in, Arch is going to be rattled 10 times worse because he's never been there before. But I get what you're saying. There's a pass that I think of, like, specifically during that game yesterday where you had a receiver who split our 2 high safety, and he was probably 3-4 steps in front of both of them. And Quinn overthrew him by about 5 or 6 feet, which, in the grand scope of things sounds pretty close. 5 or 6 feet, though, realistically is, a solid, 2, 3, 4 yards. So I don't know. It seems like, or not quite that many yards, but with steps, it feels like, and it just, yeah, I mean, you kind of want to see a guy who's being kind of touted as one of the top 5 quarterbacks off the board making those throws. So I definitely understand the frustration. I think I too would be frustrated. But one thing that you got to count on, I think, with you guys, or what I noticed in that game yesterday, is that you do have receivers who are able to kind of make some of that go away. You have, you know what I'm saying? Like, you have some really good receivers on that team. Your tight end is world class. I mean, there are things there that are going to help you guys. I think the biggest thing that you hit on there that is a huge takeaway for me too is that if you intend to compete with these higher elite echelon teams, even this year, like the Ohio States, like the Georgias from earlier this season, even Oregon to an extent, man, your offensive line is going to have to get their shit together. Because we were, I mean, we were rushing 3, sometimes 4, and then we were doing just pretty basic, stunts and blitzes, and putting some pretty decent pressure on Quinn, and that's when Quinn was having trouble, like the falling over his own feet, like you mentioned, Seth. Like, he just, he got in that one spot, and it was almost like a coverage sack because he had nowhere to go with the ball. He wasn't necessarily under a ton of pressure. It was mounting, but it wasn't quite there yet. And he just kind of fell over his own lineman. And those are things you got to eliminate. And he's going to have to figure out, the offensive line's going to have to figure out giving more space, or, Quinn's going to have to understand that he's going to have that pressure, and he's going to have to do a little more with that. But I think you guys are in a good spot. I mean, your running backs are good. They can hold on to the ball. It does seem like, you got that one kid fumbled again in the game. Luckily, it went out of bounds.
Yeah.
Blue, man.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know. You guys have enough talent. Your defense is ridiculous. That's the first time I really saw, a lot of, like, especially your defensive line. That one kid,
Collins, Alfred Collins.
Yeah. That kid is just wow.
Yeah.
300 and something pounds and moving like that. That's not fair. That's just not even fair.
Seth, tell him what you said at lunch yesterday.
We're talking about that we've been waiting for him since Georgia, his freshman year, when we saw the athletic ability, and we just keep waiting, and finally something's coming of it. It's been how many years? This is fourth year?
This is 4th year,
yeah. I mean, we've been talking about his athleticism nonstop for 4 years and waiting for him to actually produce, and I'm thankful it's finally happening, but it's taken forever.
Yeah, he's very good. You guys have some good DBs as well. The kid that had the interception and then the big hit, kind of like back-to-back drives there. That kid's really good too. So I think you guys are in a good spot. I think you're right. You're gonna have to work a few wrinkles out once to really make a push in the playoffs, because there are some good football teams out there. But Texas is definitely one of them too. So I think you're in a good spot.
Yeah.
Yeah, defense 6 sacks.
Yeah.
And 4 of those I think were the first half. Like it
On a
was
mobile quarterback too, and not just like I say that,
right.
with a tongue in cheek. Like, he's a highly mobile quarterback, so that's pretty
That
good too.
was one of the things I wanted to bring up about our defense. I don't know the average stat line for Green, like how many rushing yards he typically has, but I mean, he had -4 yards compared to what his normal average is, and I was really happy.
Yeah.
But obviously, you weren't, but really happy that our defense was able to control him in that way.
Yeah, I mean, and it also comes down to the way Bobby P's using him in individual games, whether or not that stat line looks right or not. But I mean, you saw the intended usage yesterday. Like, we do use him in those RPOs and out of the pistol formation, everything else. Like, we do use him like another back there. But yeah, I mean, you guys were able to keep contain on him pretty well. One of his biggest things that he likes to do is that those speeds to the outside, because he's so long, that he gets around the corner, and he wasn't able to do that much against you guys. Your outside speed, your lateral speed on your defense is pretty good, so that's important too, because there's a good chance you guys may end up facing some pretty good mobile quarterbacks in the playoffs there. So
Yeah.
got to have that lateral speed.
Let's see what else. Dude, Bolden has got that man freaks me. Our kick returner.
TJ was worried about him all game.
Well, I'm telling you, he was hurt the whole game, and everyone's like, "Well, what are you talking about?" I'm like,
I kept not seeing it, but after every play, like, he's holding his side. He's holding his side.
Bro, go back and watch the tape. He's literally holding his side every time, and I don't know why. Guarantee you, he comes out on the injury report at least as questionable or
Well,
probable.
did you see our punter like incidentally squib kick? Like, what was that?
The 8-yard punt?
I don't know. I was sitting there watching that, trying to understand how he got to that spot. Like, he rolled out to his right, I think. And I mean, it's like he got in more of a rush than he needed to get into. Like, I think he saw the gunner running off that one side, but he was blocked. And he just took off and just squibbed it off the side of his foot. And I was like, 8-yard punt. That's solid.
Yeah, I thought it was blocked for sure.
Good.
Like, I was like, oh, that had to have been blocked. Yeah, no.
If they slowed it down, I don't know. I mean, they slowed it down, and like, you could see it came off of like the very toe side of his foot. Like, it just, I don't know what he was doing. He went to the sidelines, and our special teams coach, like, you could watch his mouth, and he's just like, "What the hell was that?" I don't know. Weird.
I know Jono already mentioned it, but just shout out to Jade Barron. Like, he's playing lights out, and Jim Thorpe, let's go. That guy. I'm so happy he came back. I remember everybody was kind of questioning, like, should he have came back or not? But man, he is capitalizing.
He is the best in the country. Travis Hunter now. Like, everyone was trying to crown Travis Hunter. What was that? Oh, after his interception last night. It's like, bro, like, that wasn't even an interception. Like, it was a tip ball that another defender made.
Tipped it right to you.
Happened to catch it. So
yeah, compared to Jade's tip ball interception yesterday.
Yeah, no. Anything else from the game? I've got to answer a phone call real quick. So
I do want to. I mean, TJ's talked about Fayetteville for a long time, and I've not really watched many of y'all's games. The atmosphere and the stadium was a lot cooler than I expected. I would like to go there. I know he kept like petitioning us to go there for the game this year, and none of us really got on board. But watching it on TV, it looks like a really fun place to go.
Well, I can assure you too, like, the atmosphere is incredible. We have some really good tailgates. Got some guys I'm good friends with up here that they put on some awesome tailgates. Lots of good food. I mean, outside of that, there's 1,000,001 other things to do here too. TJ said something about you potentially playing disc golf before the podcast today. I don't know if you know, but we have like at least one, maybe two courses here that are on the tour for disc golf. So,
for PDGA.
Yeah, there's some fantastic disc golf courses up here. Amazing food. We have the #1 ranked barbecue place in the nation from Yelp as of 2024. I'm talking to Texas guys. I'm aware. Go look it up.
Okay,
That's
I'm back.
Rice Barbecue 2024 Yelp review. I'm just saying. So
the fighting words right there.
Yeah.
I mean, look it up. That's why we have these signs.
It's probably all pork. It's just pork.
Nope. I assure you it's not. But it is good. No comparison to Texas barbecue or anything, but it's good. But there's a lot of really cool stuff to do up here as well. There's, Dixon Street if you're into that kind of thing, but it just gets absolutely crazy. 1,000,001 micro.
I feel like that sentence on its own stands alone, kind of strange.
Yeah.
Dixon Street, if you're into that kind of thing, I have no idea what Dixon Street is.
It's our 6th Street, basically.
Yeah,
I assume, but just the sentence alone was great.
Well, because it's again, college town. It's going to be mostly college kids, and it's insane. I don't know how else to explain it. Like, you're not going down there without having that full experience. It's impossible.
We avoided it when I was there. I was even 2 years ago. I was too old for that. So
but no, it's a cool place, and the stadium is electric. Incredible atmosphere. It's big. It's just you got to climb a hill either direction to get up to it. That kind of sucks.
Yeah.
But outside of that, it's pretty good.
Bro, that hill.
Especially when you've been drinking, that hill's tough.
Bro, going back was fine, but that 1.5 all uphill was rough.
Yeah.
Also, how do you guys feel about the old Walmart logo all over your place?
It
was the talk of all Texas fans.
Half Walmart and half Tyson. You got JB Hunt around the perimeter. That's our big 3 up here. That's our donors. So
yeah, that's what we kept talking about. It's an amazing donor to have, and like having that behind your school is great. But like every time seeing that Walmart logo on your field, it's just like, I don't know.
Yep. Trust me, I agree with you. But when they donate as much money as they donate, I guess they get a logo on the field. So
yeah.
How does Jerry not donate? I've heard Jerry doesn't donate to y'all at all.
No, he does.
Okay. Someone was saying I was the SEC Unfiltered. We were talking about that yesterday, and they were like, "Oh yeah, Jerry Jones doesn't donate." I'm like, "What?"
No, he definitely does. He donated. I want to say he might not have donated in a couple of years, but he definitely donated a few years back when they did when they redid the end zone. He definitely donated a large.
Oh no, you need to be donating for your team, not your stadium. No one cares about the stadium anymore. It's how much money you're putting.
Oh, you mean NIL?
NIL
yeah, no, I don't
money.
think he does. I don't think he does donate NIL. And you know what? On top of that, I'm not really sure that either of those large entities I was just talking about have donated much to NIL either, because they don't support the coaching staff.
That's what I've heard.
Okay.
Yep. That's been our issue.
All right. Well, anything else from the game this week? I think we covered. Here's the thing: as I was watching the Sark interview, that man brings me right back. I'm like, he just makes everything just seem so perfect every time. Like, it wasn't a great game, and the way he is a leader for the media, even everything to trying to calm them down. Like, just his presence in that press conference, he's very good at what he does now.
Yeah, he's definitely settled into his role for sure.
He took me off a ledge for sure. All right, let's talk about a few other games. We can go over our picks from last week. I went 3-2. Ohio State did not cover. Florida won the game. New Mexico covered the 39. South Carolina did not cover the 12 on Mizzou. And then Nebraska lost by 8, which covered for USC. That game was weird in of itself. So I went 3-2. Seth completes the loop, getting the push with JMU Old Dominion. He goes 1-3-1. Colorado State being the only one to cover for him there. And Jono went 3-2 as well, with Baylor, Georgia, Boise State, and Oregon and Kansas State not covering for him. And Jake went to 1-1. Navy got destroyed with Green Wave. And what was the other one? Oh, you had Penn State.
Penn State, yeah.
So those are the picks from the week. We'll go ahead and start with Oregon, Wisconsin. That was wild. I don't understand at all what happened there. Wisconsin had a chance at the end of the game to win it. Ended up coming up short, but Oregon had scored 10 points in the fourth quarter just to take the lead.
It's crazy.
Dude, talk about being cute with the play call. Freaking Lanning calling a fake field goal on your 15-yard line when it's, I believe, 4th and 6. I don't know, man. That seems like an absurd call at that moment, and obviously it didn't really turn around to bite them. They had faith in their defense, obviously, but I don't know, man. If you're gonna go for it in that point in time, put Gabriel back there and live with the consequences. You rushing your kicker up the gut, trying to get 7 yards, just seems crazy. It seemed like Oregon was trying everything they could to lose that game, but Wisconsin has absolutely zero offense. Passing game is horrible, so they weren't able to move that ball at all in the Oregon defense when they needed to. So, yeah, really bizarre game, though.
Yeah, I was really surprised at the scores. I mean, I wasn't watching that game. I was watching Georgia, Tennessee, and then we switched over to the fights. But I kept hearing this morning about Dan Lanning and the call that he made, that he was just trying to still get all the hype that he had a couple weeks ago from doing crazy play calling. And I didn't realize that's what it was. That he was sending his kicker up the gut on a fake. That's wild.
Yeah. I mean, he got like 4 or 5 yards, but still. Yeah, no, you're good. You got 4 or 5 yards, but still. I mean, what are you doing there, man?
To me, it just felt like another one of these games that Oregon started off really slowly and just had to try everything in their bag to scramble to win the game. And it just, I think it was earlier on. I'm trying to remember who they played early on in the season that this happened to. It was like their second or third game of the season, but they were just super stagnant. And that's kind of how it felt, in that game against Wisconsin last night. They were losing at halftime. Was it Boise? Yeah, okay. Yeah, then they were losing at halftime to Wisconsin last night, correct? So, I mean, it's just another one of those games where, like, you kind of scratch your head over this Oregon team that at times has looked just, so complete on both sides of the ball, and they get out and just kind of, like you said, like definitely some questionable calls by Dan Lanning, definitely some weird, weird series on offense where you're not really sure why they're doing what they're doing. Maybe they're trying. It's like, am I playing checkers and Dan Lanning's playing like future chess? Like, what is he trying to set up other plays later on by making them look like they suck now? I'm not really sure what's happening, but it's just wild. I agree with you. It's a very strange game.
They've only got one game left. They have a bye next week, and then they've got Washington, and that's it.
Yeah.
Ooh.
So they are poised for the Big Ten championship there. Ohio State Northwestern, that was fun in the first minutes of the second quarter, and then Ohio State flipped it on. Penn State smoked Purdue. Shocker there.
Shocker.
Did Hudson Card. He did start that game. Interesting. He went for 11 to 20, 151 yards. Man, Hudson Card. Throwback, Jake. That was one of the quarterbacks. That's one of the quarterbacks y'all beat.
Oh, yeah.
The other one's at Oklahoma as a third string.
Yikes.
Yeah.
Is Colorado going to win the Big 12?
I mean, they're pretty on the way now. I mean, it's Big 12 eyes. It'll probably be, will it be BYU and Colorado in the Big 12 championship?
Seeming like it.
Yeah, I mean, like we were talking earlier, I think before we got on, that game next week with BYU and Arizona State's going to be the kicker there, with both of them having one loss in the conference. Whoever wins that game has a chance at the at the championship game. So that'd be crazy if BYU ends up stubbing their toe back-to-back weeks to flub getting into the conference championship. If they don't get in the conference championship, they're not going to give them a playoff nod.
No.
At that point. So the Big 12 just killing each other.
Well, I mean, BYU loses that game, that brings Iowa State into the mix as well. All three teams be at 6-2 there. So, and then if Colorado loses, also you got 4 teams at 6-2.
Yeah.
So I don't even want to do that math because I don't care that much about the Big 12 to even figure out who's going to play. I'll let them figure that out. But yeah. So Big 12 is still up for grabs. Big game of the night, Tennessee, Georgia. Man, Georgia, I just don't get Georgia, dude. Like, I don't understand it. They don't play the same way that they played against Texas. Like, they play the same way they played against Texas. No one can beat them. Like, it's not even close.
Yeah.
And, they ended up winning this game 31-17, but this game was close all up until the fourth quarter.
Yeah, the first half, Tennessee definitely looked like they were going to take this all the way.
Yeah.
Georgia didn't have any answers for them in the first half. Beck finally played a good game. That was surprising.
He has to have one of the ugliest faces in a helmet. Like, the first glance, I was just like,
I told you.
Bro, like, ugh. Like, it's skeletal.
He looks like, no offense, but he looks like the kid that was trying to, like, in high school that smelled like way too much Abercrombie cologne and tried to sell you pot.
Yes.
Like, that's the kid he looks
exactly
like.
Him.
Yeah.
It is, the more and more I look at his face, with that mouthpiece, when he opens his big mouth with the mouthpiece in, it's like, oh, dude, like, guy's been through it already.
Yeah.
How old is he? Isn't he, like, super old, too?
I don't know.
That was last year's. That was last year's, or 2 years ago.
2 years ago, yeah.
What's his name?
What was that kid's name?
Stetson
Bennett.
Stetson
Bennett.
Yeah,
he was like 25 when he graduated. Now he plays for the Rams.
Oh, wow. Well, kind of.
Sort of. Yeah, he's on the team.
How about Florida? That was game.
That was awesome.
LSU. Oh.
Bro, that's the other thing. Like, we demolish Florida, and then they come in and do that to LSU. Like, Lagway is not – he is a game changer for them on offense.
Yeah.
But they're not that good with Lagway. Like, they're good, but their team didn't completely change because he's there.
Yeah.
Like, so you can't make that excuse of, oh, well, they didn't play with Lagway. It's like, no, we played the same defense, and we thrashed them. So that's why this year, like, I'm throwing everything out the window. Like, we get wins. That's all I care about at this point. Like,
I fully expected Florida to storm the field after beating 6.
I did too.
LSU.
I'm shocked.
I just love watching Brian Kelly get beat. There's not much more satisfying to me than having Brian, who I hated at Notre Dame, much less you put him in the purple and gold for LSU that I already hated. And now it's Brian Kelly in LSU. Oh, man. I hate him so much. I think he's just the biggest prick. And it's just so funny to me to watch him lose, like, inexplicably nonetheless, to a Florida team that has just played horrible football for most of the season. And they came out and played probably, like you said, even, DJ Lagway aside, probably one of the most complete football games they've played all season long on both sides of the football against LSU, and it's so satisfying. So satisfying to watch.
He's easier to hate still because he just does not fit. Like, it still just doesn't feel normal for him to be at LSU. When he was at Notre Dame, it felt like it was his team. You watch him at LSU, and you're just like, who's this peripheral person?
Yeah, he's an SEC cuck. That's what he is. 100%. Does not fit here.
Well,
so with that LSU loss, Texas and basically right now the SEC does run through the state of Texas right now. Just to be clear, Texas A&M at 5-1.
TJ's 2 favorite teams.
Let's calm down here. I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, wow.
Look we were talking about this. There may or may not be a picture floating around on the internet that has me in A&M gear. Back when we
How
didn't.
does this happen?
This is back. I was dumb.
Poor decision.
Just out of college. I wanted to support my friends because they went to a trash school, but we didn't play them. And I didn't really. No one cared about A&M. And you boys tell me if you've cared about A&M.
He sounds like Sketch when everything came out. I was young. I didn't know what I was doing.
It's that bad. I mean,
I needed money.
I found the picture. They can't find it. So
that's funny.
Good luck finding that before we in the game. And if Texas ends up losing, I'll just post that picture that I've been an Aggie fan this whole time. You know, you never know. Joke maybe on you.
Like the Homer Simpson meme.
Georgia is done with SEC play. They play, I think, who do they play? They play Massachusetts and Georgia Tech to end the season.
Hey, Georgia Tech likes those upsets, man.
Yeah, they do.
What was UMass doing with their schedule? They played Mizzou earlier this year too. They're just what is happening?
They're wanting to get paid.
Yeah,
I guess
the money.
We're
gonna lose no matter who we play. Might as well get paid big.
Tennessee has one more game against Vanderbilt in the SEC. Alabama has Oklahoma next week.
The Iron Bowl.
Yep. Oklahoma next week, and then the Iron Bowl.
Got the Egg Bowl left on Thanksgiving for Ole Miss and Mississippi State.
Yep.
So that's always electric.
That will not be electric. It's
you don't think so?
Mississippi State is.
They're pretty bad.
Oof.
I haven't heard anybody talk about Kentucky for like 5 weeks. Are they even playing games anymore besides us this week?
Yeah, well, they're 1-6 in conference, which at the beginning of the season we're like, oh yeah, like they beat Ole Miss, lost to Vanderbilt 20-13, lost to Florida 48-20, lost to Auburn 24-10, lost to Tennessee 28-18, and then they smoked Murray State 48-6. So yeah, I don't really know what to expect there. They play Texas next week, and then they play Louisville, number 19 Louisville. Well, actually, they're probably not number 19 anymore.
Not after yesterday.
Yeah. So yeah,
Speaking of that game, did y'all see that Louisville Stanford game? How it ended?
Wasn't it like a fall or offsides?
So they had the ball on the 45-yard line. They just needed to push forward to get it into field goal range. They threw 4 straight incomplete passes, most of them being 30-plus yards down the field for some reason. So they turned the ball over on downs. Then Stanford takes over, throws a little out route, 2 or 3 yards to the sideline to try to get, I guess, a little closer for a Hail Mary. The Louisville defender lights him up out of bounds, gets a personal foul, puts Stanford into a long field goal, a tough field goal range, 57-yarder. Then they jump off sides on the field goal attempt and push it to a 52-yarder, and then Stanford hits the 52-yard field goal to win the game. I haven't ever seen anybody give away a game in that fashion in this season yet. I mean, they just completely gave them the game. All 300 Stanford fans there went crazy. So that was a bizarre game to watch at the end. I was like, what are they doing? Like, they just gave them this game.
Yeah, Stanford scored 17 points in the fourth quarter. Same thing in the ACC. Clemson pulls out the win against Pitt, 24-20. So they are still currently alive in the ACC play. Who do they play? They have US or they have South Carolina for the last game of the year, and they have Citadel, the Citadel next week. So they lose next week. It's a real problem. Also ACC, the Ponies. That was a battle. They need to retire those black uniforms. I'll tell you that.
They're holding it down.
The helmet looked cool, but yeah, the black uniforms got to go because that game, Boston College has been a decent football team this year, but they gave them a run for their money. They finally ended up pulling away at the end, but I was sweating my my championship pick there. So they're still alive. They have who do they have left? They've got Virginia next week and Cal. So. Should be poised for the ACC championship, depending on if they'd play Miami or Clemson, which is crazy.
Should be Miami right now, right?
Yeah, I think so.
You guys know why Boston College is decent this year, don't you?
No.
What's his name? The head coach.
Yeah, Bill O'Brien's the head coach.
Oh, another woo pig. There you go. Oh, the former Texans coach as well. That's great.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about that.
Yeah, we talk about how the Cowboys are going to smoke the Texans on Monday.
Yeah, they will.
Okay.
Yeah. Look, dude, you get 5 interceptions, lose a game.
We'll be fine, TJ. We'll be fine, TJ. I'm not worried about Cooper Rush.
Okay. Well, actually, I would be more worried about Cooper Rush right now than I would about Dak. So, let's see what else. Any other games? Colorado wins with ease. It's annoying.
Just as a sidebar, everybody got their lineup set. Game start in 7 minutes.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. We were all doing work this morning.
What are you talking about? I was working.
Yeah, I bet you were.
I was winning around a disc golf.
Minus
6. Yeah.
Nice.
-6. Who'd you play with?
We played doubles. And Zach -6.
Oh, really? Nice.
Yeah.
TJ, I know you mentioned I didn't get a chance to watch any of it, but that South Carolina Missouri game, I know you sent a text message to us saying that one was going crazy. I saw the highlights, but I really didn't get a chance to watch any of that.
It was South Carolina was just blowing them out in the first half, and then all of a sudden here comes Mizzou, and then it's trading back and forth blows.
It seemed like a real fight at the end there.
What was the final? Yeah, the final score was 34-30, but it was Mizzou scored 18 points in the fourth quarter versus South Carolina. So Mizzou drove down, scored a touchdown to go up 3, and then South Carolina got the ball back with like a minute change on the clock and drove down, got to like the 15-yard line. They ended up running a play and get in the end zone to win the game outright, where they were in field goal range to go to overtime, but they ended up punching it away with like 15 seconds left, and then Mizzou ended up choking it away. But yeah, it was quite a battle at South Carolina yesterday. It was a fun little game to watch. I woke up after my nap. I went and napped after the Texas game. It was stressful.
Is that what you had to rush away from?
No, I had other stuff to do, but I wasn't going to sit in that metal chair for an entire afternoon, dude.
Those chairs were so uncomfortable.
Yeah, no. How late did y'all stay?
Just right till the end of the game. We got
up. So I was gone 5 minutes after you guys. Yeah, the game was already over.
Yeah.
Anything else that popped up? Anybody want to talk about?
Little sidebar, but did y'all see that Nebraska USC ending? There was just an absolute blatant pass interference call in the end zone where they tackled the receiver and then they didn't call it and they ended up getting the interception, and that's how the game ended. I kind of randomly came across that last night watching some of the highlights.
Who won that game?
It was interesting to see how
USC.
How that could, USC ended up winning 28-20. But yeah, man, it was one of the worst non-calls I've seen in a good minute. I mean, it was like face guarding tackle to interception.
Speaking of which, that reminds me of the cover hogs. Let's just be clear, we would have covered had the SEC refs not royally screwed us with that pass interference in the end zone where we had to actually kick a field goal.
Yeah,
it was blatant, like not even close pass interference. Jake, are you muted or?
Nope.
Okay, just want to be clear. Yeah,
nope.
Yeah, refs had money on that game, so that is what the game change of the cover was. That pass interference call. We'll let it slide. We'll let it slide. We'll let it slide. But yeah.
That was the difference maker.
We don't. For the cover, yes. Just to be clear, for the cover.
That was the one.
For the cover. All right. Anything else?
That wraps it up, man.
No?
Yeah, I'm good.
All right.
Yeah.
Jacob, I really appreciate you coming on. If you guys
thanks,
can,
man.
please go to 95 Sportscast. They are on Instagram and on Spotify. Go listen to them. We will be back Wednesday for another episode, the preview of the last home game of the season, Kentucky, 2:30 kickoff. Probably be live at the game one last time before we go to College Station. So thank you guys for joining us. Until then, hook 'em horns, boys.
Thanks for having me on.
Thanks, Jacob. Appreciate you, man.
Woo pig.
Yikes.